Are you looking for a way to help your brick-and-mortar business drive more traffic and increase your sales? Look no further than the Receipt Paper Podcast. In this podcast, Joanne and Kyle provide their sage advice on how to make your brick-and-mortar store the hottest spot in town. Whether you're just launching a new business or trying to grow an existing one, these informative episodes will leave you inspired. In each episode, Joanne and Kyle take on a different topic related to running a successful business. They offer practical tips based on their own experience as owners of multiple brick-and-mortar locations. So whatever challenges you're facing, they have actionable advice for you. From finding a location and executing your build-out, to merchandising and customer experience, to sales and marketing, Joanne and Kyle have you covered. With helpful advice from these experienced entrepreneurs, you are sure to learn how to increase your sales and have your business running out of receipt paper in no time. Let's dive right in.
Welcome back to episode 3 of the Receipt Paper Podcast. Sitting here with your boy, Big Kyle Strubing, and my life partner, my business partner, my work partner, my whole life, Joanne Metzger, soon to be Strubing. Jojo, babe, how we doing today?
We're doing good. I think you're sucking up a little bit since you're about to leave on vacation, eh?
It's not really a vacation, though. It's not a vacation. Family time, which is always good, but it's, it's not, I'm not going to the beach. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Nephew time, which I'm excited for.
5 full days away from the store is always a vacation.
No, well, we're going to find out. Before we get started, I wanted to throw it out to Tap Mango. Tap Mango is our number one marketing tool that we have the best ROI on. Go and check out Tap Mango on our site at masterbrickandmortar.com/tapmango. That's masterbrickandmortar.com/tapmango.
Yeah. Phenomenal rewards program. Highly recommend.
All types of things and ways to track and all types of contests and points
Text
and
your customers.
Functionalities and
they
things.
do it all.
Yeah, they do it all. So go check them out at masterbrickandmortar.com/tapmango. Jojo, now that the business is taken care of, how was your week? What's on your mind? How we doing?
I am good. Yeah. Having a lot of fun with this podcast. Today is a really exciting topic, one that I really wish that we would have had when we were first opening.
True. Yes.
So today we are focusing on location.
Location.
We've got 2 parts to this episode. We're going to dive into a little bit of how to go about finding a location. And then on the flip side, what to really look for when you're looking for a location for your brick and mortar business. And this episode is just so valuable to me because it's amazing how many people we see that we go out there and help with their businesses. They have incredible stores, great concepts, their build outs are phenomenal, but they're living in the back of the shopping center. You can't see them, you can't find them, and
they're not on the marquee.
They're failing, And it really is one of the number one reasons why brick and mortar businesses fail is because of their location. And I think, when Kyle and I were chatting about this earlier, somebody told us when we first got started, the less that you pay in rent, the more you're going to be paying in marketing. And it just rings so true to us today that, the worse your location is, the more money you got to spend to get people in.
I think that it was 2x almost, wasn't it, that they said? I thought they said you had to spend almost 2x. I don't remember the direct, but it was invaluable. And we see it all the time. We go into these stores to help them out, and we're just like, oh my gosh, you walk up and and it's not a total deal breaker, but you just put yourself so far behind the 8 ball with that location. And then on the flip side, like, I've seen some horrible stores, like almost incomplete. It's like, did you even finish the build out? But the location is so fantastic that it perseveres. Yeah, it does well. I just, so it can really make up a lot of It can make up a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. So, yeah, so I'm excited. We're going to dive into how to find a location and then what to look for. So, let's kick off with how to go about finding a
Let's
location.
do it.
So, there's really two ways to go about finding a location. You have the option to utilize a commercial real estate agent, or you can go find and secure a location yourself. Commercial real estate's a little different than, what you're typically used to with, buying a home or leasing something. But when you go about commercial real estate, you don't have to use a real estate agent, but there's really pros and cons to using one. So, Kyle and I on our first store, we utilized a commercial real estate agent.
I can see his face now.
Yeah.
I smell his cologne.
That's funny. But on the other two, we felt much more confident and we didn't use anyone. So
just wasn't needed.
yeah, I mean, I'd say some of the pros is obviously, you have somebody walking you through the process. I remember Nick was his name. I think
Nick.
he was taking us to the property, showing us, hey, look, there's a bunch of trash in the parking lot. Things that we probably wouldn't have
It
noticed
seemed like
per
common
se,
sense, but yeah. And then he was more, I would say, we utilized him more as a mentor, honestly, for that. It wasn't, it wasn't so much, oh, go find us properties. It was a lot more of, kind of holding our hand through, I guess, the process and telling us what we didn't know, really, was the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's obviously a great benefit of utilizing someone. I think the other thing would be, they obviously are knowledgeable on commercial real estate clauses and they can negotiate your lease for you. So if that's something you're not necessarily comfortable doing, obviously a great benefit of utilizing a commercial real estate agent. But, with the pros, there's some disadvantages. You kind of lose a little bit of that control when you're working with someone. They certainly won't be moving as fast as you may want to sometimes.
That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Why we didn't go with him the second time was to just he didn't move as fast as we needed him to.
Yeah. Which Kyle and I, when we open businesses, it's
it's a sprint.
Yeah.
It was a sprint, especially with, I mean, I don't think that's for all of them, but that, in that particular time, it had to happen.
Yeah.
It just, we were missing out every day. We were definitely missing out.
But it's something you definitely want to consider that, there's a middleman now that's involved. So, and the other thing would be that commercial real estate agents get paid a fee. So the fee comes from the landlord, and
which you're saying this in quotes. I know you guys, we're on audio here, so you can't quite see us, but yeah.
So they're getting paid from the landlord, but obviously the landlord is taking that fee into consideration when they are negotiating
the overall cost of the lease. Yeah, for sure.
So, whether you want to say it's coming out of your pocket or not, I'll be honest, when we negotiated our second and third lease, I think we were able to negotiate a lower cost because that fee wasn't.
It just wasn't taken into consideration. I mean, we've seen leases fall through because of the agent's deal, agent's side.
Yeah.
And you've got to be leery. The money comes from somewhere. The landlords they're going to get their money, no matter what. You just got to be careful with it. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, for sometimes that fee is totally worth it for you. So, just know that you have both options and there's pros and cons to both. And you just got to weigh out what's best for you.
And as far as like anybody, it's if you're down to lease the property, they want people in the property. They're going to, return your phone calls if you call them. It's not like an agent is the only people that can talk to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I kind of thought, I guess that's kind of how I felt it. I felt that this is just how it had to go. And that just was not the case. But I will say though, like in the first one, you really got to use this guy kind of as a mentor, really. And that was the best way for us.
Mm-hmm.
Ask him the right questions and make sure that he kind of guided you on the process as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to use one and they're going to get paid, make sure you leverage them, ask them what Really think about their properties, make sure they're going on their tours with you.
Sponge it all too and
Yeah.
learn everything. What is he looking for? How is he, what's his thought process or his or her thought process in this? So you can, if you have to, learn something. So when you do it in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, whether you decide to utilize a commercial real estate agent or yourself, either way, you should be out there looking for locations yourself. Don't just lean on the agent to be finding locations for you. And there's a couple ways to really go about finding locations. The first way would, simple Google search. But one of our favorite websites that we use every time we look for locations is loopnet.com. That's LOOPNET.com. Great website where generally any listing in your area will be on there. They filter it by the use of your business. So whether it's retail or office use, you can filter it that way. Great website, but also one of the best ways that we have found is really just simply driving around.
Late night ice cream trips.
Yeah.
Good for business, bad for the belly.
Yeah, I remember we would get off work. We both had our 9 to 5s back then.
Yep.
And we would eat dinner and spend the next 3 hours just driving around to properties and searching for those for lease signs. And it's amazing when you start looking for those for lease signs, how many you start seeing pop.
Yeah, we'd be sitting there watching TV or something like that, and something would come on the news, whatever, like, oh, the neighborhood, and then we'd be on our phones checking it out right away and be like, what do they have in this area? Looking at demographics, like, well, the average median income it seems on point, and oh my gosh, what is it? And then next thing you know, let's get in the Jeep and let's go, and grab some ice cream and get going.
We're those creepy people with our eyes peeking through the windows, trying to see what it looks like on the inside.
Yeah. And then, of course, who knows what it was, but it was big. It was
but the key is that a lot of those for lease signs, they go up before they're ever listed online. Like Kyle and I, our lease is up in 6 months, and we're considering moving since we've kind of grown out of our space, and we need a larger space. But I called one the other day because I just saw a sign go up, and they were like, "Oh, it's already leased." So that one never was even going to make it to the online listing. Right. So it's key to keep your eyes peeled for those for lease signs. There's always a contact info person on there, phone, email. Reach out to them.
For sure. Yeah. And then as you go through, you'll kind of see who's got properties, see who doesn't, they want to put you in somewhere. You're a hot lead to them, especially if you're serious. And, he might have something or might have another property or something here or something there. So it's good to really just it's a basic networking is really what you're doing. You're trying to just get some properties wherever you can, if that's with the agent or without,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. Like the commercial real estate agents, on the other hand, you can reach out to them, even if you aren't using them to represent you, they're representing landlords.
Right.
So you can reach out to them and they'll typically share with you all the properties that they own. And like Kyle said, networking with them, share your business concept, but get them to buy in on the concept, and they're going to say, okay, I have X, Y, and Z listing. This one just came on the market, or this one's going to be available in 6 months. And really getting to know these agents out there is a great way to
sell them on you too. Mm-hmm. Your concept it can or can't be secondary, but like really they're buying into you. You know what you're doing. Are you returning phone calls? Are you because they represent the land. They don't want to turn somebody over who just doesn't do business right. You represent yourself and how you're going to act for the next 3, 5, 10, however long years, First impressions are a lot bad.
Oh yeah. We're taking on a lease, which is typically much higher than, a general mortgage, and you're committing to pay for it from anywhere from 3 to 10 years. It's a big commitment, and, that first impression's key for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can use a commercial real estate agent or yourself. And then, either way, I want you out there looking for locations. Use Google, use loopnet.com, drive around, and then also go network with some commercial real estate agents, see what properties they have. Great ways to find a location. But once you start looking for locations, the second part of that is what the heck do you look for?
Right.
What makes a good location, right?
Right, for sure. Yeah. There's a couple things we have. I think we have 5 bullet points here to go over what it is you're looking for in your location. And some of them, once again, might seem like common sense, but it's comes down to focusing on that and figuring out what are your negotiables, what are your non-negotiables, what do you want, what are you looking for, what are your plans in the future, where are you trying to go, what are you trying to do? Do you see yourself expanding? Do you all that good stuff. And it's things to be considered and just have like a wish list or and non-negotiables. But the first thing, is definitely is visibility. You definitely want to have something with visibility. If you can't be seen, if you're buried in the back of of a shopping center, it's just not, no matter how they do, no matter what, they're just not going to see you. And if they're driving past at 35 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, whatever, that is to be taken into consideration for sure. You have to be able to be seen. Are you closer to the store? Are you not closer to are you close to the store? Obviously, are you closer to
The street.
the street?
Yeah.
Do they have to go around an L? Our current store, people have to kind of find us. It's a little off the beaten path, but it was worth it for us for other reasons. It just made sense, but that is definitely something to be considered because that comes back down to that free advertising.
Yeah. I would say this is just number one, visibility.
Right.
I always say think of your storefront as that giant billboard, because ideally it really is a billboard. And how many people can see it? You're about to invest in a large, $5,000 storefront sign, but if nobody's seeing it, what's the point, right? So you want as many people seeing it as possible, whether it's walk by traffic, drive by traffic. You got to make sure people can see it.
Right.
You're visible.
Is it at, when you drive by it at night, is that corner lit up? Is it, can it be seen? Is there freaking landscaping in the way?
Yeah.
I mean, we're constantly on our landlord to trim our tree. It's
Yeah.
like that's,
We literally negotiated that into our
yeah,
lease.
we did
That
because
they had to cut
it
the
was a
tree.
giant tree that blocked our $5,000 sign. And that's something that you need to, that you need to consider. It, you can get buried. You don't want to, it's nice. And then also like, if you're going to be there 3 to 5 years, like, is there an opportunity for them to build a store right in front of yours too?
Yeah.
Some of these
Yeah.
developing things that need to be taken into consideration. Like we had like a massive Chick-fil-A in front of one of ours. It was like, oh man, we had, so, but it ended up offsetting because of the traffic was great. But regardless, there's just many things that you wouldn't think of until it does.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that note, you can go check with the city and see what do they call it when you're
There's zoning
what's the
plans
what's
or
the zoning
whatever, right?
plans? What are they planning on building? Don't be afraid to really get in depth. Like this is a large commitment, and you want to make sure that your store isn't going to be
Yeah,
hurt
you have
by
to be
any.
nails.
Yeah,
You want it to be nails for sure.
yeah,
Dot all your I's and cross all your T's.
yeah.
I think I said that.
Visibility, absolutely number one. What's number two?
Traffic. The good kind of traffic, though.
Yes.
The old school Chicago traffic, the good traffic. The good traffic. So take
Yeah.
that one away, JoJo.
Yeah. So traffic. Obviously, if your store is visible, it's useless if nobody's walking or driving by it,
Right.
right? So you want to be in an area where the street has either super high drive-by traffic or in an area where there's super high walk-by traffic. And a lot of the reports when you get all the specs for a
Right.
location from an agent, they'll send you like, what do they call it? The drive-by traffic rate ratio.
Sure.
But really the best way to know this is just go to the
The
location.
location.
And Kyle, was really good about this in the beginning. Like he would go multiple times throughout the day because, you got to scope it out. Sometimes it may be dead in the morning. The parking lot's dead, but that after school time, it's popping. And you
Right.
got to figure out what is your demographic? Are they the, moms that just got out of school with their kids and they're all in the parking lot and that's your perfect demographic? Or maybe you're a smoothie shop and you need that early morning busy traffic. So like go check out, when is the parking lot busy? When are people driving by? When are people walking by?
How fast are they driving by? I mean, the one store we were right off a major tollway highway, and they were going by at 90 miles an hour. Yeah, there were, I don't know, a million cars maybe driving by it one day, but but it looked like a blur at that point. So it was,
That's such a good point.
and a lot of those figures, like she said, there's traffic reports and stuff, but it can be a little fluffed. I mean, and a lot of things change. And once again, does the city have plans to divert said traffic?
Yeah.
One of the stores a couple miles south, they're working on significant road construction. Is that a thing? Is that you gotta be tapped in. You gotta tie in
Yeah. Yeah. You want to be in a high traffic area.
for sure.
You don't want to be in a shopping center that's dead. Like if it's dead in the shopping center, even if it's one day out of the week, write it off your list. Like you want, you're already going to be working super hard just to get your name out there. You need all the help of that organic, natural traffic seeing you and stopping by as much as possible. Like it's key.
Yeah, you need to try to steal some impressions. I mean, is really what you're doing. It's what, 6, 7 impressions for somebody to see you before they actually get in their car and come to your place. Get a couple free ones. It's not free. It's you're paying rent there, but maximize that. Get a couple. Try to make it easier on yourself.
Yeah, love that. And I think this kind of leads into the next one really well, which is anchor stores or compatible stores. You want to talk about that, Kyle?
Yeah, anchor stores are going to be one of those, like a Walmart or something like that, that drive traffic, that really, people go to weekly, bi-weekly. They're running in and out for stuff, and they see you all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've driven by here all the time or whatever. That's a good thing. That means that you still have some people out there that have not come in. It's huge. It's huge if they can sit here and see you big time. Like with a lot of the wellness, a lot of things I've seen that have done well are places by gyms for people who are going there 2, 3, 4 times a week. We're talking, they have thousands of members. You're always getting something new. They're in your demographic. Everybody's got to eat. Grocery stores are great. I always thought, but because everybody's got to eat. Walmart's great. Everybody has to get their stuff or whatever they get at Walmart. You know what I'm saying? So and the anchor stores are very big, and then a compatible store as well, like Joanne said, like a smoothie place or something like that. Does that align with your demographic? Are their customers your customers? And likewise, are your customers theirs? They like that as well. They're excited. Now we have a couple at our store. We have a couple units that are starting to kind of get filled back up a little bit post pandemic. It's coming back around, and it's nice. The one is not so much, but it's still more people. But also the other one is like a meal prep delivery service, which is great, and I'm excited for it because that's our demographic, the fit, the people who are looking for, who care about self-care. Yeah, absolutely. So that's good, and it's also other ways to partner and stuff like that. And you build kind of like your own internal community and stuff like that as well. So that's definitely two big things.
Right. Yeah, I remember I had to learn what an anchor store was when we were first looking, but yeah, I mean, you're not always going to find a unit in a shopping center that has an anchor store, but if you can, it's huge because it's just guaranteed that you're gonna get that traffic unless, it's some large chain that's going out of business, hopefully not, but naturally they're going to drive a lot of traffic and a diverse amount of traffic. But if you can't find that anchor store, then like Kyle said, look for the compatible stores. Like if you're a hair salon, it would make sense to be next to a nail salon. If you're a smoothie place, it makes sense to be probably near the meal prep place or, who look at your target market and ask yourself, what else are they buying or doing? And, look at the shops within the shopping center and say, man, is my target market coming to the shopping center already?
You have similar customer profiles, and are they driving those people?
Yeah.
I mean, flat out, it's cheap. It just makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we have like a Pure Bar and an Orange Theory next to us, and we get people from there a lot that
Big
come to
time.
use our wellness services, and they didn't even, know about us until they came to go to their class, and
Right.
afterwards they just popped in and things like that. Like I don't think I realized in the beginning the value of that and how important that really is, just to have that natural ease where I can just walk right over to a store that fits exactly what I'm looking for in my
Yeah,
needs.
they got 15 minutes extra to kill. And sometimes people just come in and be like, "What is it that you guys do?"
Yeah,
And then boom, right there, they were interested. So it's definitely worth its weight in gold.
yeah, love it. So we've got visibility, we've got traffic. You want a place that's highly visible, lots of traffic. Look for those anchor stores or the compatible stores or both. And let's number 4, competition.
Competition, competition.
So this is a topic that I think we get asked about a lot. Um, and competition could be a positive or a negative thing. It's not always a bad thing. Obviously, we see the CVS across the street from Walgreens scenario. We got the 4 gas stations on every corner. Now, when it comes to competition, I think the biggest question you have to ask yourself is there enough demand for what I'm selling? Are you selling a product that everybody wants, or is it a very niche product, specialty product that only 5% of your market wants? So if there is a lot of demand for your product or service, like massages. Pretty much
Right.
everybody could benefit from a massage. So, being across the street from a massage competitor may not hurt you. Now, if you are a specialized parrot food store, you're probably not going to have a ton of, target market, people in the market that own parrots. So you probably don't want to be right next to one. Or maybe you do. Maybe people are traveling really far to come to your specific store. And if they can't find what they want at the competitor, then they can pop into yours. So there's really pros and cons to both. I know I'm not answering your question around competition, but I think the point here is that it's something you need to consider and evaluate. You want to know, where are my competitors? Are they near this unit? Are they across the street? Are they 2 miles away? Are they 5 miles away? How many of them are around me? And can my product, is there enough demand for a
Well,
product?
yeah, it boils down to your initial demographics too, right? If you're in a city of 5,000 people, you don't need 2 parrot food stores. Go somewhere else. I mean, let's just think about it. Regardless of if the guy's across the street from you or wherever, but if you're in a city of 250,000, maybe there's a need for it,
Yeah.
and we have a pretty hot product. Do we currently have our direct competitor is like, I mean, I don't know,
Walking distance.
walking 200 yards from us. It's great. I love driving by and kicking their butts all the time. It's awesome. But at the same time, it would be nice if they weren't that. We were there first, but I got to tell you, I wouldn't have moved right across the street from somebody in a perfect world. But it just is what it is. And to that, as far as, our reaction to it, I encourage it. I'm not going to talk mess about it or whatever, but it's, because you do you, boo. But if given the opportunity, you don't have to be that way. You can make a smart business decision because it really doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if you are doing okay or whatever, and you both are making it per se, but like, what did you really do? Did
Yeah.
you add any incremental value?
Yeah. Are you setting yourself up for success?
Right.
Like Kyle said, we we opened and we kind of hit the tip of that, like right when our industry was starting. And I think we have like 4 competitors within a mile
Yeah.
from us, and that all came in after. And there's ways to work on that scenario. It's gonna
Sure.
happen. I
Yeah.
think the other question to ask yourself is, what sets me apart? If I'm gonna go in across the street from someone, I need to have something that they don't.
Because they better drive past them to get to you.
Yeah.
So you better have it right.
Yeah.
You better have it together.
Yeah. So it's not always a bad thing to have competition. It really isn't. Like we get people from the store across the street, they can't find something there, or they got pissed off about how they were treated, or, or they just went there so many times and finally saw us and just wanted to pop in. So it's not a bad thing, but it's something that definitely needs to be considered.
And do some research on them too. Go in there, and I wouldn't, you can kind of on the sly ask them some questions and figure out where is the need, or did they have it all taken care of? If you see a specific need, then that's okay. Like another one of them opened up by us, which was a lot more. It's just that it was an entirely different field. So I'll send people there from time to time just because like we don't have that specific product. It just isn't something for us. And they respect it, and you just create that relationship. But in a perfect world, I wish they were, I don't know, another state over in Oklahoma.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
like, I wouldn't even be afraid to go into your competition, go scope them out, but also I think the best way is go read their reviews.
Yeah.
What are people saying about them? Are they saying they absolutely love him? Number one store, I've been going here for 20 years and I would, give my second born child to them? Or are they saying, hey, this place never has X, Y, and Z, and they're always lacking in this? Like, there's your cue.
Right. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But as far as, entering into someone's bubble, it's a business decision. And, I think it truly starts with, kind of demographics and where you start from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So number 5, moving on to the next one.
Square footage. Square footage. The square footage, you don't need, do you need, do you need 500 square feet or do you need 5,000 square feet? What's the game plan here? How do we, look at the map? What is currently built out? What isn't built out there? What kind of products do you plan on keeping? Or, what services do you keep? Do you have enough room for what you're looking to do? And, you know, we, I, Joanne mentioned of us talking about, kind of going somewhere else, but I love it right now. We are maxed out. We are using every square foot of this because we're generating money. You pay per dollar, per square foot is what you pay for. So is that little foot that you have, is that generating you revenue?
Yeah.
So you don't need to get into, even though the place might look beautiful, you don't need to take on a 5,000 square foot lease. And, we've seen this before just because these people wanted to get in. You have the first, you know, you have like a little sliver of square footage with their retail store, and the whole back they have like 7 offices and the guys workout equipment in back. You're like, okay,
It's like the second home. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't. But does that drive revenue? And is that going to be? Is it going to be advantageous to you because you are paying taxes on? You are paying triple net. You are paying all of this on that square footage. So you have to be very careful and figure out what you need and what you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, taking on, like Kyle said, too much square foot. Like if you only need a 500 square foot showroom, then don't be out there looking at 3,000 square foot places.
Don't even go there.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, if you are opening up services, and I think this is really key for services more than product, because with services you really need that room to grow. Like even if you're only going to start off with, let's say, 2 rooms of a sauna, you want that ability to go to 4, 5, or 6 rooms when you
even
grow.
pivot within, right? Like this customer experience for us, or even your workflow of how you're managing those services, it doesn't work that way or as efficient for you. Where do your customers go? We did, we thought we needed a waiting room and now we don't, or we do, or we didn't. And you won't know that until for a little bit. So having a little flexibility is okay.
Yeah. You need some storage room, you need some, but don't go over and above on the square footage, and don't cut yourself too short either. You want to, so think about those growth plans, but also, know how big of a showroom you want. You don't want a bunch of empty space that's just gonna, ruin the store experience. You want to have a full store.
Yeah, and and then you kind of move towards your, I don't know, but we kind of work with what we have too, right? Like our suite now, we wouldn't have, I don't know that we would have been in the services as much if we didn't look and say, what in the heck are we going to do
Yeah.
with all this extra square
Yeah.
footage? And it was a blessing. It really, truly, truly was a blessing that we had this, because you're sitting there looking at this every day and say, how do I make money from this? And, we continued to try
Yeah.
things. And it was, what do they say? Invention is the birth of necessity or whatever. And so we just needed to have that. And it kind of drove itself. It was
Yeah.
nice.
No, I think that's a great point. Like if you are looking at a larger unit, like how else can you maximize the
Right.
space then? Or if you are already committed to a larger unit, look at every square foot and how it's going to utilize this. Can I host events here? Can I add in some services? Can I add in some new product lines? Like we are so all about that. We
Yeah.
probably talk about that with everyone, but
It's that cross selling. I mean, what else, what other problems do my customer avatar, what is my perfect customer, what do they have? What other needs do they have? And that align with what we're currently offering. And you're able, like I said, it's just, you're maximizing your dollar per square foot.
right. Absolutely. Should we recap today?
Recap it, girl.
All right, giving you the recap. All right, so part one, we dove into how to go about finding a location. You can utilize a commercial real estate agent, or you can work with yourself. Either way, you should be out there looking for locations on your own. You can utilize loopnet.com. You can go through Google. You can also just drive around, look for those for lease signs, and network with other commercial real estate agents. And once you start looking for locations, here are the 5 things you should be looking for. Number 1 is visibility. Make sure that the front of your store is visible. You want to also make sure that you have high traffic. Walk by, drive by
Good
traffic.
traffic, not the Chicago
The
traffic.
good
Yeah.
traffic. Make sure that people are there. Also look for those anchor stores or compatible stores. So those large chain grocery stores or gyms. Make sure that you're looking for those. They're naturally going to be driving traffic, or compatible stores that drive the same demographic. Number 4 was competition. Could be a good or bad thing, but make sure you know where they are and if it's a good thing for your business. And number 5 was square footage. Make sure you don't shoot the mark on square footage, but also you have the opportunity to grow.
Yeah. Work
Yeah.
that balance for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think my biggest piece of advice as we kind of wrap this up is just don't get so excited about a location and just jump into it. Really take the time to vet out locations and consider, which ones are the best. And if there's not a great location at the time, don't be afraid to wait a little bit longer until
Right.
one comes available, because it will be worth it in the long run. What about you, Kyle? What would you say?
No, I think that's it. It's you don't want to make an emotional decision. You want to consider a lot of these things. There's a lot here that I wish we would have known, but at the same time, there is something about there is something about using your gut too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, we lucked out to where we got, because it wasn't necessarily our first choice, but it really was, and it allowed. And then the biggest thing was, allowing, having you work your students to work, like really work your store, like what is in there, what can be utilized, what are some of the strengths and what are some of the weaknesses, and do you see yourself being able to kind of pivot and give yourself a little flexibility is certainly something that I would recommend. And if it's up to me, that agent, commercial real estate agent,
Not pro.
I'm not pro, but I also enjoy negotiating. I do.
Yeah.
You
We're
know,
salespeople. You have to remember
yeah,
that.
I enjoy negotiating.
Yeah.
I do my research. I can tell when I'm being, fluffed a little bit there too. So I definitely I enjoy that for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, it's all, location is key. It's big. It's big. And second opinions and taking advice and stuff from other people too. Don't be so hell bent on that specific location. Don't fall in love with anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you are in the process of looking for a location for your business, you're in the beginning phases of building your dream business, we do have a brick and mortar business plan template available for you. It will be in the show notes. This is a great resource just to start looking at, what should I be thinking about? What should I be learning about my market? What kind of information do I need to know? You can find that at masterbrickandmortar.com/3. That's the number 3. Anything else today, Kyle?
I think that should do it for today. I'm off to Arizona for some family time, so I'm happy for you guys that you chew on this for the whole week. I think it's nice that we're building on this, and if I don't have any questions for you for this week, but if you guys do have anything, go ahead and submit those over. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yep. Awesome. Well, I'll be working the store the next 5 days, so I'm sure I'll have some stories for next week.
Best of luck for you.
Yes.
Best of luck to you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We will see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Receipt Paper Podcast, your go-to source of information for starting and growing a successful brick-and-mortar business. Subscribe to hear future episodes and share this content so that more people can access these valuable insights. If you're looking for more resources to help you with your brick-and-mortar business, visit masterbrickandmortar.com or follow us on Instagram at masterbrickandmortar. Thanks again for listening to the Receipt Paper Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.